love you too, Stank. I hope you enjoyed our little time by there. I'm Strom Carlson, and this is Black Ratchet. And welcome to Be Your Own Telephone Company with Asterisk. Apparently, Alex.net rated this a bullshit presentation. So,
We're quite proud of that fact.
yes, we're very proud of that fact.
Alex, are you here? No, 'cause he said that was one of the presentations. He wasn't standing.
See, if Alex.net were actually here, we'd give him the payphone, but I guess he's not, so you lose, Alex, sorry. So, let's get started. Actually, before we get started, I just want to test the phone and make sure that our dial tone's the right volume. Alright, so let's get started. As soon as I get these chords in the right places. So, first off, what is Asterisk? What is this damn thing? How many of you have no clue what Asterisk actually is? Sweet. You're in for lots of fun. What is Asterisk? Asterisk is a free open source PBX that runs on Linux. It is the best thing since sliced bread. How many of you don't know what a PBX is? All my phone freak friends in the front. PBX is a private branch exchange. It's a telephone system. In case you hadn't guessed, this talk is about telephones. It was originally written by Mark Spencer of Digium back in 1999. It's been upgraded significantly since then. It's now at version 1.0.8 is the stable one, right, Ratchet? 1.0.9 is the stable one now? Yeah, okay. Is it? No, okay. What? Yeah, we just run the latest bleeding edge version. So, why Asterisk? Well, first off, it's free! And that's the cool part. I mean, a typical PBX for a business will cost you in the 5-digit range, just for the hardware. And for the setup, it'll cost you even more. So if you can do this yourself, and this is very easy to do yourself, it'll save you a lot of money if you're running a company. And if you're a hobbyist, it's really cool, because you can set up your own phone network and call each other for free, and we'll get into that. It runs on commodity PC hardware. In fact, this little tiny laptop that Ratchet is typing on right now is our Asterisk PBX for the presentation. There's broad support for VoIP protocols and hardware. It's easy to interconnect with other Asterisk boxes. You can form your own network. It's configurable to do almost whatever you want it to do. So you can tweak it to your needs. You can write your own code to interface with things if you need to. Unfortunately, it won't do your dishes, but it comes close. Yet, we're working on the dish dial tone module. I beg your pardon? 2.0, yes, or 2.0. So let's get into the hardware of Asterisk. Asterisk will run on surprisingly out-of-date stuff. If you go to voipinfo.org, there's a wiki there with all sorts of information on VoIP and especially Asterisk. And one of the pages is this page where people post what they've gotten Asterisk to do. They stress test Asterisk on various hardware. Someone running a 133 megahertz Pentium 1 with 16 megs of RAM got 3 concurrent SIP calls going at the same time. And any PC you have lying around will work. Someone posted that they got a 2.4 gigahertz P4 with 512 megs of RAM to do 790 simultaneous calls. So you'll hit your bandwidth limit far more quickly than you'll hit the limit of your hardware. You can do, here's a simple sample Asterisk installation. This is actually my rack behind my desk at home. So there's my Asterisk box in the corner. Thanks. I get told that a lot. And I beg your pardon? Yeah, I did get the rack at Costco, actually. So there's the Asterisk box chilling next to my mail server, my web server, my NAS box, and everything. There are Sun machines here. Asterisk is running on the PC, but people have gotten it to work on Sun machines running Linux, and I think someone got it to run on Solaris running on Sun hardware as well. So, yes. They all work. We'll have a Q&A session at the end, so we'll do that. There are many methods for connecting your telephones to Asterisk. You can get either an IP telephone, or you can connect regular analog telephones to Asterisk. There are IP telephones you can buy secondhand on the market. They're not all that expensive. This is the Cisco 7960. This is an IP phone. You can get those for about $250 online. In fact, I looked on eBay. I think I saw them going used for $150 now. There's the
If you look
Polycom-
for deals, I've gotten one for 120. That's as low as they go right now in current market conditions.
There's the go ahead.
You don't want to know what I had to do for that.
There's the Polycom IP600, which is considered the other really good phone. These two are considered probably the premium VoIP telephones, and that's $250 online on eBay. There are crappy telephones you can get. You can get the Grandstream Budgetone 100, used about $40. It's roughly equivalent to that $9.95 phone you buy at the drugstore that falls apart before you even get it home. But it's a VoIP phone, so if you need just a cheap VoIP phone, that'll work. And right in the mid-range, there's the Snom 190, which is about $150, $175. The prices have come down since we threw these slides together. And, I mean, there are hundreds of manufacturers making phones for Asterisk, and just VoIP in general, so you can look around and find all sorts of stuff. Most VoIP phones are built the same. We'll get into that actually in the protocol section. So I'm actually going to ask you to hold your questions until the Q&A session at the end, and we'll have a queue at the telephone over there for you to ask your questions via telephone. You know, the cool stuff's coming later. You can also get little terminal adapters if you want to plug your analog telephones in. You can buy one from Digium that speaks Asterisk's native protocol called EEX, and that's called the EEXI, and I think I have one here. Somewhere. Actually, it's in the... Where did we put the blue box? No, the... Yes. Here it is. It's in my swag box. We're giving away swag later, so get your dialing fingers ready. This is the EEXI, little tiny thing. You plug in an analog telephone in one end, and you plug your Ethernet connection in the other end, and your analog phone is now a VoIP phone. This is $100. You can also get the Sapura SPA 2002. We've got those here running, and these are about $70. You can plug two Vanna Ratchet. There's these speak SIP instead of EEX. You can plug two analog telephones into these. You get two dial tones, and that's about $70. You can get the Grandstream Handytone 286 for about $65. That only does one, I think, that speaks SIP. And the old Cisco ATA 186, which is the one that Vonage used to send out, is about $50 online. You can also, there's tons more of these. There's one, the adapter that Packet 8 used to send out, the DTA 310. You can find those about $30 used online, and although you can't really get them working as they are, you can reflash the firmware and they become just generic SIP adapters. There's details for that on my website. So. You can also buy something called a Zaptel card, and these are cards you put in your Asterisk box, and you connect analog telephones and telephone lines to these cards. The one on the top is the TDM400P. That has 4 little modules on it. You can select either FXS, which are dial tones, or FXO, which are telephone line interfaces, and put them on the card and arrange them any way you like. The bottom one is a T1 card, and you can, there are 2 versions of it. There's the 405 and 410P, and the 406, 411. The 411 and 406 have echo cancellation built into them. And so you can bring 4 primary rate ISDN interfaces into that and have 96 channels of voice going out of your Asterisk box. Or, if you've got a whole bunch of analog phones, you can get a channel bank and plug the channel bank into the T1 for your stations, so you can have 96 stations running off of one Asterisk box with 4 channel banks. So, why aren't you talking, Ranted?
Oh, okay.
Let's get into some of the protocols that Asterisk uses to talk to the network.
Those
Yeah.
are really hard to find, in my opinion. I mean, I've looked for them because I thought they were really cool, but I could not find them anywhere. I mean, I searched eBay for about a week, and I finally just gave up in frustration. Oh, that's true. Okay, for those who didn't hear, that's means apparently the Linksys PAP2 is the same way as the Sapura 2000, and they can or can't accept firmware. Cannot be flashed firmware. Anyway, getting back to interconnecting Asterisk. Hold on, go adjust this. The main protocol for interconnecting voice over IP calls is called SIP. It stands for Session Initiation Protocol, and it's sort of a signaling protocol only. It only signals and sets up calls. And what it does is it contacts your box and say, "Hey, I have a VoIP call for you. You might want to connect to it. It's on this IP address." At which point it connects to the IP address with a protocol called RTP, which stands for, what does it stand for?
Real-time transport protocol.
Real-time transport protocol. It was developed by the IETF and not ITU. It uses URLs instead of telephone numbers. For example, you won't connect to 311-555-2368. You'll enter it into, you'll say SIP, stromcarlson.com, which doesn't work. I've tried. It's intended to be a peer-to-peer protocol. It's not like, a general server. It's supposed to, like, my box connects to Strom's, and, it doesn't actually have to connect it. It doesn't have to contact anybody for it to work. There's certain caveats to that. We'll get into those later. The main advantage of SIP is that it's very ubiquitous. It's supported by everybody. If you talk about VoIP, anything post, like, 1998, it uses SIP. Packet 8, Broad Voice, essentially all the major providers use SIP, with the exception of AT&T Call Vantage. They use another protocol, which we'll cover later. Does not play well with NAT. It's very hard to actually set up with NAT. You have to start poking holes in your firewall for the RTP. And, for example, if you start connecting out to another box, say I'm behind NAT and I try to call Strom, it'll say, "Oh, connect to my box. I'm at 192.168.0.252. And Strom's boss will go, "What?" So there's a lot of workarounds for it. What you have to do is you have to tell it to, this is my external IP address. Use this for everything. Don't care about whatever your IP address is. However, in my opinion, it's a bit of a kludge. The other protocol, before there was SIP, there was H323. It was developed in 1996 by the ITU. It's really far more signaling to traditional protocols that are used by the telephone network, not as opposed to SIP. Like, for example, SS7 or something. It's more similar to that. Again, it uses RTP for media transport, and it's used internally a lot by inter-exchange carriers. And it's very unpopular in the VoIP world because it is a bear to set up, and it's, like I said, major pain in the ass to get working correctly.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Although this is a telephone talk, please turn your ringers off. Thank you.
Come on, I figure that's discriminatory in cell phone users. We actually were Strom was hanging out in Pound Asterisk one day on irc.freedone.net for anyone interested. And Jerzer, who's one of a major contributors in Asterisk, made the following quote: "Just don't use H323 and all your problems will be solved," which technically is correct. Now for Asterisk, there's a main protocol, and as you can tell, it's based on Asterisk. It's called Inter-Asterisk Exchange. It was developed by Mark Spencer of Digium, the guy who wrote Asterisk, and it covers both signaling and media transport. It's a very streamlined, very simple protocol. What Mark wanted to do is he wanted to, took a look at SIP, took a look at H323 and said, "Boy, these are crap. Let's go design my own protocol." Does not suffer from NAT traversal issues. For example, I'm behind a firewall, I call Strom, and it knows that where I'm coming from, it knows where to connect. It doesn't actually, say, "Hey, I have an IP address here," which could be wrong. Data signaling happened via UDP on port 4569. That's the only thing you have to open up in your firewall as opposed to RTP, which I think you have to open about 15,000 ports for. Very well supported by Asterisk. Duh. But however, the support in terminal equipment is very rare. The only HEA that supports it is the IXI by Digium that makes it. I've also noticed that one phone recently started to support it. I think it's called a NetWeb 302. It's actually made in China, and the only place you can get it is someplace in Delaware. Telephone. Could you shut off your ringer, please?
I'm testing for later.
The nerve of some people. Let's see, where was I? It's a preferred protocol for many PSTN termination providers because, a lot of PSTN termination providers, they use Asterisk. It all works. Just set it up. It's fire and forget. I think I set up one of my accounts about a year ago. I haven't touched configuration since. It just works. The other protocols are the Media Gateway Control Protocol, MGCP. That's the other protocol I was talking about. It's used by AT&T called Vantage. I'm not sure if they still use it, but they did. I had bought an old HEA on eBay, and I had to reflash it and do all kinds of annoying things to actually get it working with Asterisk, but the support is there. The other thing is Cisco's Skinny Client Control Protocol. It's used by Cisco phones. This actually uses SIP. This doesn't use SCCP right now.
You can choose with the Cisco phones to use either SIP or SCCP. There are different firmware images.
Not all Cisco phones support SIP. For example, I have an older version that was made in about early 2000s, and it only uses SCCP. There's support for it. It's not the best in the world, but it works. I mean, I can only have one line on the phone, and three-way calling is an issue. I try to flash over and the box crashes.
There are two different SCCP implementations for Asterisk, and they both kind of suck.
Chan SCCP2 doesn't suck as bad, but Chan Skinny...
but that's kind of like being the tallest midget, so...
Yeah, exactly. Since Strom is the codec Nazi, we'll just sort of choose this one for him.
I'm a codec Nazi now, in addition to being a spelling and grammar Nazi. Wow.
It's a compliment.
So anyway, basically, there are many different codecs that you can use to encode voice with Asterisk, and we're going to go over what they are, what they do, and what they sound like. In order to understand codecs, you need to understand how digital audio works. How many of you don't really know how digital audio works? Okay. Well, I didn't see too many hands go up, so I'll kind of go over this quickly then. Basically, you have an analog waveform, and this is divided up into a number of little slices of time. This is called, so you have an analog bunch of different sliced up bit of analog audio. These are pulses of analog amplitudes called pulse amplitude modulation. So you've got time division, but it's still analog. What happens is these values are then quantized into digital values, and this is called pulse code modulation. PCM is what you use when you talk on a telephone, on a regular telephone call, and it's also what you hear when you play a CD. So what happens is the values are quantized between 1 and -1. So depending on how much resolution you want to give to the values, you can specify more. The way MuLaw works, what MuLaw is the companding scheme that the analog telephone network uses. Whenever you make a regular long-distance call or a regular local call, you're using MuLaw. It's 64 kilobits per second. And what happens is it's a logarithmic scale. So more resolution is given to the lower amplitudes where most of the voice frequency is in order to give you the impression of 16-bit audio. What actually happens is it's only 8-bit audio, but it sounds far closer to 16 because of the companding. But however, for some people, 64 kilobits a second is still way too high for bandwidth. They're greedy and they want to, or they have less bandwidth and they want to be able to send phone calls over less bandwidth. So there are many different ways of compressing this already compressed audio. Adaptive differential pulse code modulation. Well, first, differential pulse code modulation uses 4 bits to describe the change from the last value. What MuLaw does and PCM does is it actually describes each value individually. For this one, it says, go down 4, go up 2, and so on. Regardless of the original source resolution, regular DPCM just uses 4 bits. Adaptive differential PCM uses a varying number of bits depending on the complexity of that sample, but it's still 32 kilobits a second, so they have to scrimp somewhere. It sounds almost like MuLaw, but not quite. There's also LPC, and this is the basis for a lot of what you find in cell phone codecs. It's linear predictive coding, and it's pretty complex, but the basic thing is that it uses vocoders to compress speech. And it tends to work pretty well for speech, but there's a lot of electronic music nowadays that has the vocoders that have the singing synthesizer effect in the song. So, actually, if you listen closely to talking on a cell phone, you'll begin to hear that. And you can actually use all these codecs with asterisk and VoIP. So, again, voice on the PSTN is 64 kilobits a second synchronous bandwidth for wireline telephones. North America uses MULA companding. Most of the rest of the world uses ALAW companding, which is almost identical but slightly different, but for all intents and purposes, they sound exactly the same. It's 64 kilobits, if you're doing something called bit robbing, which is basically to give you a supervision in band on one of the digital channels, you get 56 kilobits a second. But for the most part, it sounds the same. On mobile phones, you only get 4 to 13 kilobits a second for your voice, which is why mobile phones sound so horrible. So, speech compression does have a lot of costs. First off, if you're running it on your Asterisk box, you have to transcode from MULA to the codec. And in order to be able to hear it, you have to transcode back from the codec to MULA. So there's an increased CPU load that's required. That box that does 790 simultaneous calls, if you have it do GSM or one of the lower bandwidth codecs, I think that drops down to maybe 100 simultaneous calls. There's no guarantee that two pieces of equipment will speak the same codecs. A lot of times, like the Saporas speak MULA and then G.726, I think, and then some of the other codecs. But
yes. Boy, I think we're going to have to keep track of whether this is on or off.
But
Thank you.
But I think the EXE only speaks MULA, and there are things that just speak certain codecs, and it's a mess. I mean, there's no guarantee that any pieces of equipment will be able to talk to each other unless you use MULA. Some codecs require licensing. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, if you're using non-standard bit rates for some of these codecs, then you're really in trouble. Some codecs require you to pay licenses to use them. There's a codec that, actually we'll get into that in another slide. And codecs don't handle all kinds of sounds well. People will generally have trouble understanding certain words. A friend of mine says that every time he calls up a restaurant to make a reservation, they cannot understand the word north. It's always interpreted as something else from his mobile phone. No one ever gets north right. It's difficult to understand anyone who has poor diction because these are designed under the assumption that people who are using them tend to enunciate well. And music on hold in codec land is absolute torture. You can gouge your eyes out if you really want to. I mean, I want to do that every time I'm on hold on my mobile phone. It is that bad sometimes. There's one we'll demonstrate that is that bad.
There's a documented case in Arkansas. Apologies to anyone from Arkansas here.
Here's the benefits. Each call uses less bandwidth. That's it. I wish there were more because that slide looks really empty, but that's it. Here's what Asterisk supports. G.711, which is 64 kilobit per second MULA or ALAW companding. G.726, which is 32 kilobit per second ADPCM. G.729, which is 8 kilobit per second CSA SELP, which is conjugate structure and algebraic code-excited linear prediction. That requires a license from Digium to purchase. We're going to demonstrate that codec later. And just in order for me to be able to call Ratchet's box and have one telephone conversation over the codec, we each had to pay $10. And that's only for one call. So if you want to have more than one call using this codec, $10 a call for the licenses. Not per instance. Simultaneous calls. So if you only buy 5 licenses, you cannot have more than 5 simultaneous calls running on that codec. No, if it were $10 a call, I think no one would use this thing. It would be like being back in those days.
Or if it was developed by Microsoft.
There's the Internet Low Bandwidth Codec, which is a 13.3 kilobit per second linear predictive coding. This is what Skype uses. And I mean, I've heard people rave about Skype. I hear it just like ILBC. There's also Speaks, which is an open source codec. I think it's based on like the Ogg Vorbis stuff. And that's also 13.3 kilobits per second code excited linear prediction. And finally, for those of you who are like on dial-up, there's LPC10, which is 2.4 kilobit per second. It sounds more ghastly than you can possibly imagine. Yes, that's the one. So in order to do a comparison of all these codecs, we figured we'd play some audio for you using each of the codecs. And so I decided, I could do just talking, but that would get boring after about 25 seconds. So as proof that you can find anything on Craigslist, I found this song that this band let us use for free. So apologies if it's not up to your musical standard, your musical taste, but it's free, so be happy.
I like it.
I like it too.
It gets stuck in my head every time I hear it, and it's really annoying when he uses this version.
Yes. Oh wait, so let me cue it up here. Okay.
If they ever get a recording contract, buy their album. We'd promise we'd give them a plug.
Yeah, we promise. Also, if you really, really like the song, I think there's a copy on your asterisks, not on your asterisks, on your DEF CON CD. Also, on your DEF CON CD, there's the full copy of that song and every codec we just demonstrated, so you can listen to them and compare for yourself.
We won't be responsible if you listen to the whole thing in LPC10.
Yeah. So let's talk about getting Asterisk to talk to the real phone network, because this is all fun and cool, but it's going to be kind of limited in use if you can't talk to, your mobile phone or your mother or store down the street. There are various providers that you can use to terminate to the public switch telephone network, and we're going to go over some of them. One of them is called NewPhone. NewPhone, well, you know more about NewPhone than I do. Why don't you tell them?
The plus about NewPhone is that they have cheap rates, not as cheap as some other voice-over IP providers, but pretty decent rates. They're very geared toward Asterisk. I believe they support SIP only after a nice public outcry, saying, I want to use this with my, for some other ATA. One of the things that I like about them, and the reason why I chose them as my first provider, is they can set your caller ID outbound, which has some interesting advantages to it. We'll cover that later. And also the really cool thing about a new phone, and I think it's their best feature, is they have insanely easy to provision 800 numbers. I never thought anywhere in my life I would ever have 5 800 numbers to my name, but I do. And seriously, you click them and they send you an email saying, here's your 800 number. You can actually do vanity 800 numbers for them, like if we wanted to buy 800 Aster YS. I don't know how many characters is it.
I've forgotten how many 100 numbers I own.
Anyway, it takes a little longer for that, and they charge you a fee, but, for any old 800 number that you want, it's just, poof, it's there. They're very easygoing. When I first set up my account with them, I'm not sure how they do it now, but when I first set up my account with them, I said, okay, I'll PayPal you, X amount of money. What happens when that runs out? Are you going to shut off my service? He says, no, we'll just send you a reminder email, we'll just, send it off. And we won't turn off your service or anything, just send us some money. They also have something called call and party number for delivery. How many people are familiar with SS7 and the difference between CPN and CID? Oh, could about be a few. Anyway, CPN is sort of like caller ID on steroids. It's a little more truthful than caller ID. You'll actually 9 times out of 10, unless you know what you're doing. CPN is usually very truthful, and you can't change it. Of course, my two friends up here are probably laughing at it. It's caller ID on steroids. It's a little more truthful, and it's harder to reset, theoretically. It's also quite recently, they have proper call completion progress. Now, for the longest time, what would happen is your call did not go through, or you hit an intercept saying the number you've been calling has been changed to so-and-so. It wouldn't actually reflect that. And for someone like me, who's a phone freak and enjoys calling intercepts, it was a bit of a bummer. But, a couple weeks ago, probably a couple months ago by now, they actually turned it on. I called a payphone out in Boston, and I didn't accept incoming calls, and I got incredibly excited when I heard the Verizon voice saying, the phone number you've reached does not accept incoming calls, and I literally hung up the phone and called him and said, new phone does proper call completion, and you were jumping down like excited Japanese two girls on net. It was very exciting for me. Cons is that direct infrared dial numbers, which are basically numbers you would set up on the PSTN, so mom, dad, your sister, someone who doesn't have Asterisk can call you and actually reach you on your VoIP line. The only numbers they have are in Michigan, which for me I guess is okay because no one really calls me on VoIP besides him. And they're also not too freak-friendly, despite being very easygoing. For example, during Strom and Lucky 225's presentation last year on Freaking in the Age of Voice over IP, was it?
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
They sent him a cease and desist letter saying...
no, they didn't send me the cease and desist letter. Who did they send the cease and desist letter? Was it not there here? Yeah.
But not there. Stand up.
Here's Mr. Cease and Desist.
This is the man who's on Jeremy... This is the man who was on Jeremy McNamara's shit list for that weekend, who basically said, if you true this, I will terminate your account and ban you for life from New Phone.
I haven't heard a peep out of them.
Okay, we're just going to... Oh, they stopped carrying CPN this week? Oh, great. Wonderful.
So maybe Jeremy
Sorry,
is just
folks,
aware.
this is what we did. And, geez, you really think he doesn't trust us for sending cease and desist letters? I don't know. Asterlink, this is okay. We used to like Asterlink till this weekend.
So yeah, Asterlink, for the most part, for me, has been reliable, although this week has been a whole other bag of worms, which we'll get into later in the talk. You can get your inbound termination via toll-free numbers, and it delivers ANIII. How many people do not know what ANIII is? ANIII is class of service, so you can tell whether your calls are coming in from a landline phone, or a mobile phone, or a payphone, what type of payphone. You can see whether your calls are coming in from a prison, too. And Asterlink does also proper call completion, so if you get the intercept recording, the number's been changed, you can actually hear that. The cons, the account management interface is a little kludgy. It's actually gotten better. I was actually able to use it with Firefox for the first time this week, but I haven't tried it in a while, so how long it's been. But it kind of didn't quite work right with Firefox. And right now, at least, they're experiencing EX2 jitter problems with some customers, namely us.
This is why we don't like them anymore, among other things.
we'll get into our beef with Astrolink later. There's also Voice Pulse Connect, which I use for some of my inbound numbers. They give you a local number in almost any rate center you want. You get unlimited incoming minutes on inbound EECS calls, and you have inbound numbers in a large number of rate centers, and it's also called proper call progress. I just said rate centers. The problem is it's one of the most expensive EECS providers for outbound termination. New Phone is about 2 cents a minute. Astrolink is also 2 cents a minute. Voice Pulse Connect is, I think it used to be 2.9 cents a minute. Then they dropped it down to the low price of 2.47 cents a minute or something like that.
Wow, sign me up.
And I guess when your regular landline long distance is 5 cents a minute, like mine is at home, this may all seem incredibly cheap. But when you've got providers that do 1.3 cents a minute, you get it crazy with the price. And the other thing is that inbound numbers with Voice Pulse Connect sometimes use the ability to pass touch code. My number that's on my business card is a Voice Pulse Connect number, and for some reason, usually I have to go to a menu. Thank you for calling the Strong Carl PBX. Strong dial 2 to play our touch code game dial 3. And I had someone trying to call me, and they kept pressing 2, and it would just hang up on them because my PBX never heard the 2. So I had to make it route directly to my mobile phone this weekend. Apparently this is the first time it's happened to me, but some people have been having major issues with it. So if you're really unlucky, you're totally screwed. There's VoIPjet, which is really cheap. It's 1.3 cents a minute. The problem.
Actually, I think it's 1.29 now.
Oh, is it? Wow. A whole mill they dropped it.
Hey, it adds up.
Yeah, it does. Caller ID delivery is unreliable with VoIPjet. You oftentimes get the number of your outbound trunk instead of the number that you set it to. There's no incoming service, it's outbound only, and there's no proper call completion. If you call a number that's been disconnected, and the phone company at the terminating end says, this number has been disconnected, all you'll hear is the phone ringing and ringing and ringing. So you'll never know why your mother has changed her phone number and you'll just think she hates you.
She doesn't love me.
Exactly, see? All these other stuff.
That's because we all use LPC10.
There's also a company called BroadVoice. They have cheap GIDs in most rate centers. After your initial account, the GIDs are like a couple bucks a month.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They're pretty much run by phone freaks. In fact, when you sign up, and if you have them send you the kit with the ATA and everything, they also send you this little pin, which is this logo, but it has a red circle and the slash through it.
I actually found out this weekend they also do T-shirts.
Yes, at least one person here at DEF CON is walking around with the BroadVoice T-shirt with the Bell logo and the slash through it. So if you're that person, please stand up and get some applause. He's not here? What the hell?
They lose.
You lose. We were going to give you just like, $100 for coming, but oh well.
They were going to get the payphone too.
The problem with and the other cool thing is that it has caller ID with name for inbound calls. Most of these other carriers will just deliver the number, but these people actually do a name lookup and deliver the name for you. So we will see not just that 311-555-2368 is calling you, but that it's, Mabel's Fish Restaurant. The problem is that it's SIP only. So if you want to do EECS termination, or if you're behind a firewall or something, you've got to do some sort of EECS proxying if you want it to be reliable. They're prone to service outages. I've got, my dial plan set up as a 1+ a year, so the number just goes over BroadVoice because it's tested on the different plan. And but sometimes it doesn't work. Phone support is kind of slow, although it is 24/7. So I guess if you call, 3 a.m., they will answer like that.
No, they won't.
Yeah, I tried. They'll have to wake up first, and then they'll, drink their coffee, then they'll answer the phone. And then the other thing is CNAN delivery is also unreliable. So, caller ID name tends to work, but it doesn't work all the time. So, now let's get into building your Asterisk network. Why don't you explain, Enum, Ben? Ratchet?
Okay, Brandon. Enum was the first way to actually translate phone numbers over to URLs into SIP. It's based on DNS. Allows any number to be queried, and what it is switch telephone network saving money. So, for example, if, I know that 311-555-2368 is a VoIP number, I'll connect with that rather than picking up my landline. It was designed by the ITU. It's supposed to be used by telephone companies. However, there's a program out there. I think this is the largest one. I may be wrong. It's called e164.org. It's a free do-it-yourself solution. What you do is you register your number, 311-555-2368, and you register it to a URL. And then when someone queries their enum server, you get the URL back and they connect to you rather than over the internet, rather than your landline. They have over 350,000 numbers registered, which sounds like a lot, but then you realize that a local exchange, like 311-555, only has 10,000 numbers, and how many exchanges do you have just in Las Vegas alone?
I think in an area code there's a maximum limit with all the reserved prefixes, something like 7.2 million numbers, and Los Angeles has how many area codes now? So,
A lot. They also have 78 million special PSTN services, which are essentially someone decided to offer free termination at 800 numbers, which is handy. It's basically if you don't want to actually use a PSTN termination service, you can use this and you can dial 800 numbers because they're free. How enum works?
I left it in my car.
Lovely. It's in your car. What's your car?
Everything's in my car.
Okay, if we all pay attention to the top, basically I'm at the top telephone and I want to dial 311-555-2368. Oh, look at that.
Touchpads, marvels of modern technology.
Yes, latest thing in from Japan. Where I'm at this telephone, and basically I want to dial 311-555-2368. So I pick up my handset, dial it, and talk to my PBX. It says, okay, I want to dial 311-555-2368. Connect me there somehow. So what I've set up my PBX to do is talk to an enum server. And it says, hey, do you know what 311-555-2368 is? And it either says, yes or no. And essentially in this example it says, yes, it's bell@telephone.com. So it registers that to my PBX, at which point my PBX goes, I guess I'll go over the internet for that one rather than picking up a local line. And it goes over the internet and I dial 311-555-2368 down here, which is also bell@telephone.com. But also completely bypassing the PSTN. Enum is has a lot of problems in my opinion. It's a very top-down way of looking at things. It's centrally managed, centrally served, and centrally centralized. Basically, they want to develop it exactly like DNS and have 15 root servers all over the world, which is great, but no one actually has done it yet. Except like e164. And it's not being used by any PSTN providers, as far as we know. Someone want to tell me otherwise? Any telephone people here that know that? My idea is, why should they save you money? I can charge you 5 cents a minute for calling Eastern Bangladesh. And it's nowhere near critical mass yet. I mean, E164 is a really nice solution. It's starting to get there, but at the same point, 7.2 million numbers, 250,000, not a hell of a lot. It's a drop in the bucket. Enum was cool, and what did we call it? Last April?
Something like that, yeah.
Last April, what someone came out with, designed by the good folks at Digium, is DUNDY, which stands for Distributed Universal Number Discovery. And it's basically, it's designed by the folks at Digium, therefore it has to be good. I mean, they call it asterisk, right? It's a fully peer-to-peer E164 solution. Basically, I don't query a certain server, I query the 2 nodes next to me, and they connect to the 2 nodes next to them, etc., etc., etc. And it allows you to easily set up your own telephone network with friends. And basically, it's a do-it-yourself alternative to e164.org, and without waiting for your telephone company to implement e164 themselves. Here's essentially how DUNDY works. Basically, we have a company over here that wants to dial 256-555-1234. Essentially, they want to reach a certain number in Alabama. So we have this PBX here who talks to this node over here, and what this node does only has one node, and it knows it's coming from here, so therefore it won't send that query out over this node. What it does is reach that node talks to all this one, and eventually it goes over, and it reaches the PBX who knows how to dial 256-555-1234. At which point it follows the trail back and says, hey, 256-555-1234 is, 411 service at Alabama, whatever. This is actually done cool. Didn't mean very interesting peer-to-peer setup. It's a lot like Nutella, which we also cover in this one. There's lots of problems with Dundee, in my opinion, also. Requires everyone to be honest. I mean, essentially what I could start doing is I could start advertising, hey, all the numbers to the White House, send them to me. So I can, accidentally start World War III when I insult the Kremlin. Scalability is a bit of an issue. We're not sure how it's going to take off yet. It's still relatively small, but someone brought up to me, well, geez, salt like Nutella. Look how many problems we had with that. It's not officially a standard yet. We submitted to IETF, but as we all know, standards cost money, and these people don't have it yet. Right now, it's only officially in the CBS head version of Asterisk. I believe it's attached to the submit to a real version. I believe it's attached. You can actually submit and run it against 109 or 107 or whatever it is, and get Dundee support in it. And it'll work fine. And also, in my opinion, I think the eye looks really stupid. I mean, protocol should be nice, done. Nice common, one syllable. Quality of service. That's all. Who knows all about that? What a quality service is, it ensures the call is achieved off bandwidth for your phone call going out over whatever your WAN pipe is. Like, for example, I don't have quality service on my WAN, and when I would start downloading something, or for example, my sister starts downloading something, my call quality goes to hell. It starts sounding like a really bad signal. There's two ways of doing it.
Want me to do this?
Yeah, on the phone, though.
Yeah, no.
Okay, we'll take over.
Sorry, I forgot to dial something in my PBX earlier. Basically, there are two ways you can do QoS. There's priority queuing, in which you give void packet priority over any other packet going through your network. And there's bandwidth shaping, where you can, where you can basically say reserve this amount of bandwidth for void, and everything else gets the rest of it, or this amount of bandwidth for everything that's not void, and then void gets the rest of whatever the connection is. I'm sure there are people out there who know more about than I do. I'm a phone person, not a router person. Many residential routers are now voice aware and will do the sort of thing right out of the box. And you can also tweak a Cisco router to do it if you're a control freak, or if you want to do it on a larger scale, then use a little NAC router. Alright. I've got a Cisco router, however, I've sort of kind of gotten working with it, but I'm definitely not a Cisco router person. So now let's get into the cool part of what you can do with Asterisk. This is getting fun. And by the way, if you're watching on TV in the hotel, don't change the channel. We've got a special thing coming up for you. Asterisk Gateway Interface. I think you want to talk about this one.
Can you tell that we're only experts on certain subjects? Yes, tag team, exactly. AGI stands for Asterisk Gateway Integrate. What it is an interface for adding functionality to Asterisk. Basically, it uses standard in and standard out, and it's very cross-language. You can use Perl, you can use C, you can use PHP, Lisp, TCL, and anything that uses standard in and standard out, you can use it. And basically, since Asterisk is the best thing since sliced bread, I find AGI the second best thing to sliced bread, because you can basically do anything you want with it, given enough time. Here's a simple AGI program. Wow. What it is basically this reads back your caller ID. I don't believe I actually set it up on this phone. I apologize. What it does is basically...
Wait, it's not on your Dundee network?
I don't know what the phone number is.
Oh, great.
This is what apparently Alexis Clark saw fit not to replace our DSL modem after it was broken. So, basically, a lot of my presentation of this part is with our Alexis here at this point. Starting from here, basically what it is you start on a standard in point, standard in and standard out, and basically what Asterisk uses is all kinds of different arrays, and what it does is it reads all the variables in and checks it all in. It checks it to make sure 200 stands for it's okay, 510 stands for that we're not sure about this one, and I think 510 means that there's a problem, but I set this one up to just keep on going. Who cares? Basically what happens is after it reads all the variables in and makes sure they're okay, what it does is it basically streams a file that says your caller ID is, and it says you read back your caller ID. So here's how it works. You have the connection up here, basically me dialing up the phone and dialing my AGI service. I would be doing that. What it says is feeds back a ton of variables, but the one we're really interested in is AGI caller okay, stream file, AGI, caller, your caller ID is, which comes back to me as your caller ID is. Then it says, okay, I'm done. What do you want me to do? It says, okay, save digits, 311555236. Save digits is a AGI command that Asterisk understands, and it goes, says 311. Then it says 200 result 0. Okay, I'm done. And at which point it says, hang up. I'm done. Leave me alone. Disconnects me, sends back, 200 result 0. I'm done now. It hangs up. Yes, exactly what it is. Caller ID readback. ANAC. Now, that's a lot of work to do. I mean, it's like a 20-line script, and there's someone who came out called Asterisk AGI, which is a Perl module for Asterisk and writing AGI scripts. Simplifies a lot of AGI programming. Essentially, it takes out a lot of the dirty work, and I think someone said once, doing the work that you don't have to. Allows the AGI to be controlled via a simple object interface in Perl. The problem is that it's rather old and very not well maintained. I subscribed to the mailing list, I'll say about 6 months ago, and it's been dead silent up until about 2 months ago when someone said, is this mailing list still active? At which point everyone came out of the woodwork. And I think it's died down now, but maybe I should send that note saying, or maybe a few people should sign up to it and use it yourselves. What it is allows AGI to easily integrate with Perl, which easily integrates with almost anything in the known universe. And it's available at asterisk.gnuinter.net. Actually, gnuinter was a very strange German word for like the longest time, so I said, oh, okay. Here's the same program. As you can tell, it's a lot easier. I think we've condensed it down at least 100% to about 10 lines or so. But it says, use Asterisk AGI, use this module. It reads in, starts up a new object called AGI. And what it is that entire, 10-line thing of check the variables, make sure they're okay, does it all automatically. And the other feature that the other one didn't have is you did not check whether or not the person had a caller ID in the first place. So you basically, if you didn't have a caller ID, you would get a found file saying your caller ID is, and then it would hang up. Or what this one does is it checks to see if your caller ID is there, at which point it says something. So, what this would do if you didn't set a caller ID, it would just flat out hang up on you. And as I say, wow, that was easier. There's lots of ways to interact with your script. One of the input things is touchtone. Basic, ubiquitous, everyone knows how to use it, including your mom. However, it's very limited on what you can do with it. For example, you have to basically use the sign up function to use Steam, or you can only basically transcribe numbers. VXML, it's extensible. What VXML is extensible voice XML. It's basically a XML GDB that allows for scripting with voice interaction. Extensible, however, the problem with Asterisk is that it has no native support. Really drives me mad because I really want to play with this. There is a relatively new open source program called SipXPBX, which says it has VXML capabilities. It uses SIP, so it's integrated with Asterisk. However, I spent about 2 weeks trying to get this compile after they released it, and I eventually just gave up in frustration. There's also there's rental offerings. For example, Microsoft has a VXML program. I haven't touched it yet. I really don't want to. However, there's like at least 2 or 3 commercial ones that I know of that are available for a pretty penny, of course. Because VXML is still you need to develop a lot. Interacting with your script, output. There's text to speech. There are 2 main versions. There are 2 main programs. One's called Festival. It has native support with an Asterisk. It's free. However, it sounds like crap. My description of it was an old Scottish guy that's worked home factory for the past 50 years.
Think back to that text-to-speech program you played with in like 1987.
Speaking spell, that's what it is. It's a lot worse. The other program is called Sepstrol. It's available at sepstrol.com. It's a commercial offering, however, I really love it. It can easily be integrated. It's about like 10 lines of code in every Perl script, and recently they've also announced that they're starting to partner with Asterisk, so there is native support within the actual PBX. So no one should ever have to use Festival again, provided of course they're willing to pay for it. It sounds absolutely fantastic.
of Cepstral, but the resulting sound file, I think every 5th or 10th word or something goes, please register me.
Yeah, and it is free for download, like you said, and you can make sure if you ever have don't want to make sure that it works with your program, you can set it up, and you just have to deal with that. Please register me every 10 words or something. The other thing for output is recordings. You can do it yourself. It's free. The other person is Allison Smith. She's kind of the official support for Asterisk. It's for pay, and she has lots of canned sayings available on the internet.
Asterisk also comes with a whole ton of sayings. She says all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing, some of the things she will say for pay. Yes, you are thinking what you are thinking, and you're probably right.
A friend of mine actually just wanted to test her, and so he sent her increasingly offensive scripts, and I think he finally found her limit after, a long time. Well, maybe she'll read Richard Nixon's Social Security number, I don't know.
We also have a friend who set up a voice bridge. You wanted her to do the intro. Doug, are you here? And basically, we have a sound file for saying, which I really want to show you, but
I thought you set that up. I'm not a weather pattern. My name is Strom. Yeah, I'll show you my phone voice in a second.
And basically, we hired her to say, hello, noobs, welcome to this new bridge that we have. And I call it up one day, and I hear Allison just saying, hello, noobs. And it was kind of disturbing. Also, apparently Strom decided to see fit to advertise himself in here. Strom, the voice of DEF CON by phone, more on that later, it also is available for voice recordings, and if you can support the local phone booth. And now a demonstration by Strom Carlson that we actually do. We have not actually set up the meeting.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling DEF CON by phone. Script Kitty tested, Blamer approved. To hear what's coming up in the next hour, press 1. To search for an event, press 2. To leave feedback to the DEF CON by phone team, press 0. And so on. If any of you want to write down silly things on slips of paper and leave them up here, I'll read them for you.
He has less morals than Allison Smith. Here's a slightly more complex bridge. This actually uses input and output. Basically, what it is I've done the 3 ways of doing it. And what it is you get these after AGI, and basically what I said is forever, it waits for you to enter a file, waits for you to enter a digit, at which point it says, please enter a digit, and just keep on repeating. And what it says is after you enter a digit, it waits for 5 seconds, and if you entered 1, it says, it has my voice on it. If you enter 2, it has Cepstral's voice on it. If you enter 3, it has Allison's voice. This was really cool. I'm terribly sorry. Intermission!
Okay, so we have some cool swag to give away.
Digium has seen fit to give us gobs of stuff. Apparently, Strom has become very friendly with Mark Spencer, and he sent us,
Very friendly. So Digium sent us a whole box of really cool stuff. There's these little CDs with asterisk on them, and they're in the shape of an asterisk. Which thing? Why don't you SSH on this? There's asterisk stickers. Yes, if you put the sticker on your car, more people will want you. I also have thin wrap stickers and oldschoolfreak.com stickers. Here.
Two very kick-ass sites, in my opinion. You can see them on the Bitcoin forums almost every day. It's kind of a boring job.
That's where we hang out. Asterisk t-shirts, which go to people who are with phones. So I need 4 volunteers who want to come up here and dial phones. Actually, no. Let's have them answer questions. Okay. Name a pre-divestiture Bell operating company. Pre-divestiture, not 9X. Pre-divestiture? Pre-divestiture. Operating company. GTE was not a Bell company. Okay,
Okay,
how about this?
I'm taking over now. Name a post-divestiture 9X regional Bell operating company. For example, someone already said it. Raise your hands, people. You.
Come up.
You in the back. Yes, come on up. You. Yes, come on up. Dennis. Sure, why not? You're my friend.
All right.
Come on up.
So, let me mind this thing out the way. Each of you sit in front of a telephone. So, let me prop up this list in front of you here. This is a touch-tone speed dialing contest, and for some of you who were in the game area earlier, we kind of did this just to work the bugs out of it. So, basically, I have a list of numbers here that I programmed into my PBX, and the person who dials these numbers the fastest and most accurately will bring my desk phone here and get a prize. So, let me set this list up here. Yeah, I'll explain the rules in just a second. Unfortunately, these don't do pulse dialing. Otherwise, it would do a switch hook tapping competition. Can you all read that? Beg your pardon? Sir, can you read that? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to pick up the phone. Each phone is dial 1 plus the area code plus the number. After 1 second, if you dial correctly, you'll hear another dial tone, dial the next number, and so on and so on. If you misdial a digit, say you dial 2 instead of 1, you'll get a reorder tone after 1 second, at which point you will want to dial the number again. If you skip a digit, you'll hear nothing after 1 second. You may want to press a couple digits until you get a reorder. If you get a reorder that you can't break by dialing, if you get the reorder where you can redial the number, there's rules. If you get the reorder that does not go away when you start dialing digits, you screwed up and you have to hang up and start at the beginning again. So, ready, set, go. Beg pardon? He wins. The guy in the Quest shirt. What size t-shirt do you wear, sir? What size t-shirt do you wear? Large? Okay. He gets to leave. We need one more contestant. The guy in the Bell shirt. You want to switch phones, Natus? Okay.
We like to get preferential treatment.
So, you understand the rules, sir? Okay. On your mark. Don't touch the handset. Don't pick up the handset until I say go. You can touch the handset. 1 plus the area code plus the number, yes. On your mark, get set, dial.
Hidden in the depths of extensions.com. You know, Natus, you're really starting to make me sad that I know you. Oh, he flashed the hook and got a caller. Got a busy signal.
He put his own call on hold.
That's what it was.
Yeah, let's do some Bin Rev and Ultra Free Stickers too. Yeah. One of you still got a call on hold. Hold, please.
Natus, would you like an old school free sticker? Would you like an old school free sticker? He runs the site for those of you who don't know.
And what size t-shirt do you wear? Excellent.
No, I actually thought it was flip-top for a second.
Let's do this. Let me plug the telephone in so we can hear the winner.
What a foolish idea.
Yes. I think we'll do one more, then we have to get on with the presentation. Let's make this fair. Let's make this fair. Let's clear this out and have 4 all new people. If you guys who competed, come up to me after the show. You'll get swag. You'll get swag. You'll get swag. You're welcome.
Okay, new rule, don't flash so fast that you put a call on hold. Just
Yes.
a word of warning. Wow,
Okay.
you actually gave him the money. Good for you. Let's
Sweet.
give that guy in the gray hat a round of applause. Okay, for future reference, all new money should just be coming straight to us.
There we go. Okay, so let's get some volunteers. How about this guy?
Okay, here about a question. What is required? No, you're okay. You already made up. You made some funny comments. What is required for Dundee to be in a release version of Asterisk? A release version.
I heard a patch. Was that?
Yep.
Come up.
What else what sounds more ghastly than you can possibly imagine in codec wise? You. Yes. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, we have one more.
Oh, come on up.
Yeah.
You're cute.
I thought that was my line, Ratchet. Okay. Okay, do you guys understand the rules from last time, or do I need to repeat them? Okay, yes. Okay, and now you're able to hear the caller. So, on your mark, get set, dial. Oh, we should play the touch tone music if it wouldn't screw up the touch tone thing.
Well, your iPod is also next to your head.
Yes.
Yes, don't leave now. If you want free stuff, don't leave now. We have various telephonic pieces of equipment from Storm's collection and more Asterisk flags after the show.
Telephone. Good afternoon.
Cheers.
Oh, a Princess phone.
A Princess Rotary?
It's little, it's lovely, but however, it does not light because it's a consumer sale model. Made us for support rotary.
Digi and Zaptel cards do support rotary phones. In fact, you can navigate IVR menus with the rotary phones with a Zaptel card.
However, the only thing that does support rotary dial are the cards and the XP.
I think the XA supports rotary dialing, I'm not sure. It does? Okay, cool. So, yeah, this thing does support it. unfortunately, no. This one actually belongs to Mark Spencer, and I have to give it back to him.
We were thinking about just auctioning it off, but we decided against it. Anyway, I found my my slightly more complex script in my caller ID script. So here we go. This is the caller ID one. This is a slice of
Sounds like it's going to your AIS script.
311-454-8105.
I actually replaced all the default sounds with Jane Barbie, who did a lot of the Bell System announcements back in the 1960s, because I really like her voice. And here's the slightly more complex script. I'm going to go into Peanut Gallery.
Enter your option now. Enter your option now. Black Ratchet says, asterisk is fun. Enter your option now. Sepstrel says,
No, baby, give it to me. Yes, that's it.
enter your option now.
And option 3.
Enter your option. Allison Smith says,
Hello, news.
enter your option now. Enter your... Allison Smith says,
Hello, news.
enter...
This was from this my friend's sound file. I just sort of ripped it off from him, with his permission, of course. Thank you, Doug, wherever you may be, if you're ever watching this. Cool applications. What the hell can I do with this thing? One of the cool things that I really originally turned me on to after is caller ID spoofing. As in, you can set your caller ID to whatever you want. After it's allowed you to set your phone caller ID, much like a primary radio computer, such as a P1 or an ISDN line. Certain public service telephone network providers will allow you to set your calling party number to your phone on your SS7
Initial address message.
Yeah, I always forget an address match. They'll let you set your SS7 IAM to your number as well, along with your caller ID. That's why I gave that caveat with CPN. It's a little more truthful, but not always. Most users will blindly accept this information. The 5ESS, which is something made by Lucent and promoted at Western Electric, does caller ID. DMS100, which is made by Mortel, also does caller ID. And GTD5 DAX, which is a switch made by Verizon, was made by GTD, now owned by Verizon. There's a lot of
I think what happened, it was made by Automatic Electric, which was GTE's manufacturing company, and but it's now been discontinued as far as I know.
it has been.
And ironically, Automatic Electric is now part of this. But anyway, you only find GTD5s typically in former GTE territory and some independent telephone company territories.
However, in the GT5, blindly accepts caller ID with name. My friend Doug, once again, accidentally decided to test out his caller ID spoofing one day to his home phone, which was on a GT5 at the time. And it came back as test, and he called me up and explained to me that GT5 now, sort of set caller ID with name.
It's the only reason I would ever want to live in GTE territory.
There are about 2 or 3 switches that we know of that do not accept smooth caller ID, and these are individual switches. There is one in Boston, I'm not sure where it is, and there's a couple of other various portions of the net that you just continue to ignore and set caller ID. Caller ID and CPN spoofing issues. Confuse and amuse your friends. I mean, how many times did you receive a call from ProSense and OverPay? You can activate your neighbor's credit card. A lot of companies will blindly accept CPN as per your deal. This is, it has to be what you're calling from, right? You can set that to do whatever you want. I've activated many times, something that uses CPN for activation via my voice line. I just have to keep my phone number to it. Charge calls people you don't like. This is slightly more complex and very hard to play, kind of hard to pull off. Requires certain phone equipment to be badly misconfigured, obviously. The easiest way to do this, we found, is certain companies calling card. I'm not going to say who. Not closers, no. Figure it out on your own. Elton Harrison voicemail. For example, up until T-Mobile upgraded their voicemail equipment, you could call 805 message, which was your voicemail access number, and just send any caller ID that you want, any CPN
get into the technical details of this later because we might be running out of
do this on
time.
Sprint as well. Social engineering, because hey, caller ID is always right, right? I guess so. Sim caller ID using Swift. One was played by Vic84. It was on rootsecurity.net, and not clear did a lot of work with this. Here's KWN.
You can also, however, do caller ID spoofing most of the time with 2 lines in your extensions.com file and asterisk.
Yes, this is something Swift actually made beforehand. We're not curious on those mine.net. So I have caller ID spoofing script set up.
One of these things will kind of run short on time, yeah.
It works. Really. Basically, okay. Back spoofing?
What back spoofing is it's based on caller ID spoofing. It's a relatively new concept. It's something that I think been around for a little bit. What it is basically, you dial your own number, spoofing caller ID to your own number of some number you want to find out more about, and then the telephone company will send you whatever name is associated with that number. Yeah, it depends on what database your RBOC is using, but for the most part, it's fairly easy. I think I've got a photograph of me doing back spoofing. Oh, no, how it works is you call ID yourself, your local exchange carrier looks up, it's called the number in its database, and then it just sends that name to your station equipment. You can, so I'm trying to jump ahead. It allows you to, if you're doing scanning, you can prioritize, the more interesting phone numbers. Here are some real caller ID names we got. Unclaimed money, Verizon information, CIA, and booze. It's a really, really cheap reverse lookup, and you can maybe figure out celebrity cell phone numbers. Why are you so obsessed with these?
I'm straight.
That's it.
I love you, Strong.
I love you too, Randy. Here's an example of me back spoofing. Going to be Ticketmaster.
You need your credit card because this time it didn't work and go through. Can you give it to us, please?
Super caller ID is something that I hacked up in about 25 minutes. It extrapolates tons of useless info from a telephone number. It gives name and address from whitepages.com, and it does switch information from the Telcordia local exchange where you died. In my office, it runs on its own dedicated WISE 150 terminal, but if you've got some screen or some window you want to run it in, you can do that too. There's a version of NATA's site, oldschoolfreak.com, that doesn't use alert, that just grabs data from the web. Here's a photo of me using super caller ID, spoofing from Gladstone's for Fish Restaurant at Pacific Palisades to my own phone number. See, yes. Wow, people are making their own versions for their own country. Someone sent NATA's a copy from Australia that works in Australia. So, sweet stuff. So you can see here, it does the number, the address, it's listed in the web page. This is the calling party name that goes on the phone company, and here is all the details on the switches served out, on homing information, prefixes, where the switch is, what type of switch it is, AF, for example.
Useless for anybody but phone freaks.
Yes, I'm sure half of you have no clue what this stuff is. With what? No, it does not. Entirely. But it comes close. Local number portability, the whole number of other can words. You can rig radio contests. Yeah, why don't you explain this?
What radio stations have, they have a hunt group for their lines. Essentially what it does is you call one number and it hunts for a free line on a bunch of lines that they have. So for example, you call, 555-8000, and in reality it searches, 8001, 8002, 8003 for a non-busy line. Back in the day, practically what they would do is they would busy out the 555-8000 line, and they would dial in 8001, 8002, 8003, get directly into the switch. So they win, you don't, and, they did. I believe Dark Dante, a.k.a. Kevin Paulson, uses messages in a Porsche. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can never find out. And what happens is after the contest is over, they win, you lose, they re-enable line. Typically steals your favor. I didn't actually come up with this concept. Natus is not here again. Tom came up with this. They're much more creative than I am. Certain providers allow numerous outbound calls, 200s in some cases.
I think our provider for DEFCON by phone claimed that we can have probably over 600 calls going up simultaneously. American Idol or some. If you watch TV, I don't watch TV anymore. One of those things.
My fiance, she likes American Idol. And, you know, I said, well, geez, what happens if I flip their voting nine for the worst guy that was ever this week?
If you do that and they get a record contract, radio will get about 1.1% worse.
When I flip their voting lines, they're 800 numbers, so it'll be free to me. However, I think my voting drive will be very disappointing to me. I know I can hopefully tip the scale some favor. The unfortunate with American Idol is it's billions upon billions of people who have no life that call this. So, I mean, you could possibly do this on a more local level. For example, one of your news stations has, what do you think about this issue? Call our voting line. Another interesting thing is a telephone denial of service. What happens if you have someone in the down line to be covered with 300 phone calls? Oops. The other idea was, call up PBS, tell them to knock off their flip break. I want to get back to Rick Wolf. Along with telephone denial of service, you can busy out lines and also rack you up with number charges. For example, certain providers, charge you per minute on your 800 number. What happens if you connect 100 simultaneous calls for 1 minute? That's about $20 or so. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. There's a...
What's your NMAP by phone number? Let's just do this.
Oh, here it is.
On your exchange, right? Was it 5?
Enter the IP address you wish to scan. Bill Roger, you know how to push my buttons. Please wait.
Hopefully this computer
Host
is
found with 17 ports open. Echo on port 7. Decide on port 9. Daytime on port 13. Curtain on port 17. Curtain on port 19. SMTP on port 25. Main server on port 42. Domain on port 52. HTTP on port 80. And
Anyway, it would go through all this of 17 ports. You get the idea. If you listen to BinRev Radio on radio.binrev.com, I actually did a demonstration of this about 3-4 weeks ago. Episode 100, you can listen to it. Listen to this simple script that allows you to push scan through your phone. You can scan a computer from any payphone in the world. Impress your friends, phone Microsoft.com while driving to work. And it's almost entirely useless except for the coolness factor by impressing your friends. Your own personal assistant. You can read your email over the phone. You can't dictate messages yet. It's not as cool as Wildfire. One thing that you will list a lot of things. Actually, I don't think Wildfire is cheap anymore. I just found that out during the convention. I was very sad. Insanely cheaper. And VXML has made this a whole lot cooler. Anyway, you can do this. I'm going to have the script up on my website, on oldschoolfreak.com, sometime this week. Part 2, DEFCON by phone.
How many of you are using DEFCON by phone? Wow, what the hell's so wrong with the rest of you? Yes, why haven't the rest of you? But no, I'm surprised we actually are using it. Do you guys think it sucks as much as we think it sucks? Do you guys really like it?
We'll talk about that later.
Sweet, okay, cool. We've had like major headaches because of this. This is not perfect. But
I missed all the shows on Friday to fixing bugs and dealing with things so good.
yeah, it's been a major headache. What it is, last year I came up with this. There's this massive DEFCON schedule. First off, you can't memorize the damn thing. Secondly, the times and location change, and if you lose your paper schedule or you don't have it, you don't remember off the top of your head with every station, Friday, Saturday, 2 or 4 p.m., and then you realize later on, shoot, I missed this presentation. And of course, the official print schedule, as you know, is like already out of date 3 weeks before the convention. So, and besides, voiceover so you don't have to.
All him, he thought of all the phrases except for like one or two.
Yeah. After recording everything, I got really crazy and recorded a whole bunch of crazy introductory phrases to it. So, you basically, you know how really weird it is to receive phone calls from recordings of yourself. It still freaks me out. So there's a search available to anyone who calls. There's a reminder, and again, if you registered, you can be more voice and call you back. How does it work? There's a MySQL database on this Asterisk server we have in Colo, and there's a whole bunch of audio clips. And pretty much, I spent a week in front of my computer dictating the entire text of the schedule into the system. And let me tell you, my jaw was about ready to fall off at the end of the days. But I'll get into that, but pretty much, there's an API script in here, user registration, searching the reminders, and it checks every 10 seconds to see if there's a call that's supposed to go out and send those calls out. And it's limited only by our provider. And there's a web interface internally that controls the addition of events and changing the time of communication and so on. Should we do a demo? Should we do a quick demo?
To hear a listing of shows that are coming up in the next hour, press 1.
We're going to search for our own
To search for an event, press 2. To search for a show by title, press 1. To search by presentation, please enter up to the first 5 letters of the title of the show you'd like to see, followed by the pound sign. Presentation ID 56. Be your own telephone company with Asterisk. Presented by Storm Carlson and Black Ratchet in Parthenon 3 and 4. Starting at
Saturday, July 30th, 2005 at 7 o'clock p.m.
running for 110 minutes. To hear more about this event, press 1.
You're all
To
here,
skip
you
to the
know
next
about it.
event, press 2.
If you hear more about the event, it reads you back the entire description of the talk as printed in the schedule.
Shouts to Strom.
If any of you want to hire me for your voiceovers, please come see me. I will give you my contact information.
But don't give him 48 pages of show descriptions, please, for his sanity.
Well, I think I can handle that on being paid to do what I did it for free, but it was cheaper than buying that damn Cepstral license. The problem? Dictating the whole schedule was a pain in the ass. I didn't realize how long it would take to dictate the whole thing in, and we were like literally rushing. I think most of these were recorded like less than a week ago. And our each termination provider was having like each jitter issues last week. There were so many problems. We couldn't nail up all calls at the same time, and we had jitter problems. We had to switch to SIP, and it's really difficult to keep our schedule in sync with Defcon's schedule. We asked them, please, for the love of God, give us all your schedule updates so we can inform our users and everyone who calls in about the changes. I gave you my phone number, I gave you my email address, and I have their keep out of them the entire convention. So thank you, everyone who's doing the scheduling.
And also, we came up to him and said, hey, our schedule really sucks now because you guys have changed everything. Is there some place we can go to get updates? And they, go to updates.defcon.org. So I was like, okay, I'll, sit down, fix everything. Not a single schedule change on there. I was, it's caused me nightmares. I'm going to have nightmares for years like this.
We spent all of Monday, or all of Friday, trying to deal with the fact that they pushed the entire track 2 back an hour. But we hadn't anticipated that. I'm sorry? What we should do next year is we're probably going to set up something where the schedule is actually thrown together in our system. And so that's the idea I had. The schedule is thrown together in our system so we automatically know about it and have everything centralized.
And as a disclaimer, we all love DEFCON. We're not trying to piss anyone off, but this is what happened.
When we're calling reminders, there's no way to detect whether users are whether we get their voicemail. So if they don't pick up the phone, they don't get the reminder. Some users are brain deficient and forget their PIN. And I think we got a call from somebody.
You know who you are. Freakjacker.net.
Phone will be back next year, and next year we guarantee you it will be more accurate.
Yes, the problem problem with track 2 is that, they said, oh, move everything up an hour. Okay, that's fine. I updated the schedule. And they said, okay, let's go make up time during the day so everything hopefully is on schedule by the end. I cried when I found that out. Because there was no way to do that.
I want to get to the Q&A because I'm sure there are a lot of you who have Q&A. So pretty much, the CDM cards kind of flake out. There are problems because Asterisk is GPL, but also contributed to Asterisk is owned by Digium. Digium has the commercial version too. There are termination issues, again, with proper call prevention. Most providers don't have anywhere near 5 nines of reliability. Some providers lose your registration. There are bugs in the protocol implementations, like we had DEF CON by phone. And finally, Q&A. So, if you want to ask a question, there is a telephone there. Queue up in front of the telephone. And for those of you watching on TV, call the following number, area code 213-415-1047, and you will be in the Q&A queue. Do not call this number if you are sitting here in the room. If you see someone who is on their phone and calling the number and holding and asking a question, grab their phone and throw it to me, and we won't give it back to them. Will you please pick up and dial 8110?
No, we can't.
Oh, shoot. Oh, sorry. I know. Please hang up that phone.
Batman,
Hello.
I have a question. The codec...
Okay, please, everyone calm down. We're trying to get as many questions as possible.
The codecs that were demonstrated earlier using the rock and roll song with a lot of bass and a yelling guy and a very wide frequency band going, the bandwidth frequency of that music, aren't those codecs optimized for speech only?
They're optimized for speech, but the way I see it, if you torture test the codec, you see what they really sound like under all circumstances. Because not all speech is perfect. So if you torture test the codec, you get you get a clearer picture of what it really sounds like.
You'd say those are playing a song like that for a good test.
Yeah, it's a good test. I know it's not designed for music, but there is music on hold. So
What happens when you're driving in your car and you have tons of background noise? You're trying to use one of these.
same thing. Okay.
I think that's a good point. Like,
I'm taking your picture. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see if anyone's calling in from the TV.
Agent logged in.
Hello? Hello?
Black call!
Let's hang up and get the next person in line.
Agent logged in.
This is the default Asterisk music.
No one's calling in. Wow.
Wow! Come on, people at home!
If you're watching on TV, call. Okay, let's get you.
Domino's Pizza?
Ask your question.
Okay, two questions actually. One, for all the caller ID spoofing stuff you guys are talking about, do you need a DS1 connectivity to PSTN?
No, I've got it running on my DSL connection.
Okay, so just with the VoIP providers.
Yeah, your standard VoIP call, even with MuLaw, only requires 80 kilobits per second of bandwidth plus overhead. So if you've got more than 80 kilobits per second connection in both directions, you're fine.
Okay. Okay, never mind. I answered my next one. The other question I have is, what is the river equivalent to some of these devices up here? The ones that you plug into phone here. How many phones do you plug into?
You can get generally about the same as a phone company, between 3 and 5 telephone sets.
Run, Forrest, run!
Isn't the scavenger hunt over yet?
No.
There's a giant bee problem at DEF CON this year.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Agent logged in.
We're really hoping someone's calling in.
Hello, you're with Asterisk.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
There's a little delay.
What's your question, sir?
Question on the Zapcom line. Are those you're interfacing your phones with Asterisk?
No, they're not the only one supported. I believe. Here, wanna look that?
Yeah.
No, they're not the only one supported. I don't know what it is. I think it's something called VoiceTel that uses the same hardware. It was just an older version of it. It's supported, it works, but good luck getting it working. So
Are those PCI cards?
yes, they're PCI, and I believe there's also one that's ISA for you real people.
So you're running on
Okay.
Asterisk off your laptop now, right?
Yes. This is actually on the DEFCON by phone server, but we're going to move on to the next question. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's get the next question from a real person.
Hello.
Hello, party.
Hey, could you address for a second the issue of security in terms of Asterisk as it compares with regular phones?
Yes, for the most part, Asterisk is about as secure as a regular telephone, although the new version of the EEX protocol now does encryption. I haven't played with it yet, it's only about 2 weeks old, but there is now encryption built into the CBS head version of EEX protocol.
Cool, thanks.
Let's take a call from...
Agent logged in.
Hello? Hello?
What's up with all you
try and get
people?
another call.
Agent logged in.
Show up. Good afternoon. This might sound like a mood thing, but I stepped out of the talk ground here in the CTN area and dialed up DEFCON by phone. All my other CTI code guys out there, there was no answer. Did I dial the wrong number or what happened?
For some reason, those payphones take an incredibly long time to put calls through. I don't know why.
I got a ringtone, but there was just no answer.
Yeah, I don't know. It works from my mobile phone, so it's not our system.
The other fun thing about the payphones out in the lobby is that they do not transmit a payphone code, so therefore you can actually use DEFCON by phone from them. All payphones were banned because we don't feel like being charged a fee. However, thanks to GoldenTel, whoever supports them, they have a very incorrect standard on their payphones, and they should make them
Agent logged in.
real payphones.
Hello, caller?
Dude, look, it's his phone! Get here!
Grab his phone!
Oh, girlfriend.com!
Hello, hello.
Question about setting up configuring not very easy it seems. One, are there any books out there I can buy to configure Asterisk? Two, can I pay to do it for me?
There is an Asterisk book coming from O'Reilly, and O'Reilly makes great books. This one is apparently like 570-something pages. Look for the book with the starfish on the cover. And secondly, sure, I'm broke. I'll accept the money. You can pay me to set it up for you.
All right, thanks.
We'll take one more question from the call-in line and one more question from here, and then we got to pack up.
We'll be out back and, answering questions. Just track us down.
Whoops.
Agent logged in.
Call in somebody remote. Hello, party.
Hello.
Hello.
How many people can be on this line at once?
Up to 4 people can be in the queue at any given time.
And how does it figure out that you're the administrator?
Because we're dialing our internal Dundee Net number.
We got skills, yo.
Yeah. Actually, you can set a password for this, but for convenience, since none of you from the outside world can dial on our Dundee plan, we figured it would just be easier if we could just answer the question instead of getting to the password thing.
Yes, essentially this is
Okay,
this allows you to set up your own phone sex line with Asterisk.
Yes. Thank you much.
afternoon. What are you wearing? I'm wearing... I've got this really, really nice butt set.
Have you played with any of the 802.11 voice over wireless?
I haven't played with any of the 802.11 VoIP phones. There are phones that'll act like cordless phones, except they'll talk to your Wi-Fi network. See, I wasn't kidding when I told you I had a really nice butt set. 7920. Okay, so let's go 7920. If you go to the VoIP-info.org wiki, they have information on all of this cool stuff. I haven't played with the Wi-Fi phone stuff. Yeah, you can do VoIP software on PDAs too.
Yes, I set that up for my own thing. I have a nice Bluetooth headset, my Wi-Fi hotspot. It comes right in. And we're going to go wrap this up. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to send out shouts to binrev.com. You can find Strom and I there on forums.binrev.com. Anything else? Oldschoolfreak.com.
Stickers.
We have stickers that we can give people. Just follow us out. We'll talk your questions and do whatever.
Hang on just a second. You can also, before you go, if you have any questions and you can't get to us directly, my telephone number is on my website, so call me up there. Further reading of resources on the slideshow on your CD. Thank you for coming, everybody.